Hello, guys. Welcome to the Friendly Differences podcast. I'm your host, Baram Yu, and beside me we have Solid Blue Sister. We have just recorded our third episode, which was immigration, and we had two amazing guests, and I'm sure you'll see why. I've known about Michael J Steele for a while, but I've never had the pleasure of entering his show, or not pleasure, because I hear it's very, people going there. Podbean is a right-leaning platform, I've heard, and I see that as well. There's a lot of right-leaning shows. Michael J Steele is a Democratic senator. He's running for the position of Senate for North Dakota, and we thought this would be a great topic to have him on, and have also on his arch nemesis Michael Kee from episode 2. And the two of them, it was at some points you'll see me and Lisa just sitting laughing our heads off. So how did you feel it went?
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. I think it went well. I had to come in with my ruler in the classroom, a couple of times, but I think it went well. I think people got their, views. They wanted to state their views, and they were able to say that. Little disappointed that we have more in the chat. And so hopefully, guys, you all can come in and chat. But I know this is just our third episode, whatever. But I thought it was a good show.
Yeah, I think I won't ruin it again for people, but everyone got their views across, and I think the main issues were that we didn't agree fully on how to fix those issues. And I think that is a common theme in a lot of these political debates, is you'll find that someone on the left and someone on the right, they both identify the same problems with society, but they have different views on how to fix it. And that's a common theme, certainly what I've picked up. But I really enjoyed it. A lot of it, I felt I took a step back and just listened to things. And I really enjoyed it. So we'll definitely have them back on.
Well, with the two of them, you kind of have to take a step back, So, but and I do want to say one thing. Nothing about the show or anything, but I am not a conservative. Okay, I am not a conservative. I'm not.
That's good.
I'm not. I may have some conservative views, but no, when I go vote, is not conservative, especially for the people who are out there now. So no.
Mm-hmm. I've definitely heard that. I know we all joke about you being a closet conservative, and that's why Solid Blue's clearing that up for you guys. But I have heard, the 80s, 90s liberals are kind of more in the what would be considered right now would probably be more central right leaning. I know it's maybe the change, and I don't know what that is, but
I think a lot of that is because you have the progressive movement who is so far left. And even with the Tea Party and the Republicans, I think the Tea Party took the Republicans further right. And I think that the progressives took the Democrats further left. So you do have the Republicans who were like the John McCain's and everything, who were still in the middle. And you have the people who were like the Joe Bidens and the Hillary Clintons or whatever, who were in the middle, because that's where I am. Because with the progressives, I can't get on board with a lot of the things that they do, because I think they're too far right. And then when you have the Tea Party, which I think is now this new whatever's out there, I would have to say the new, I'm sorry, people are gonna hate me saying this, the new Trump people who are so far right, whatever, I think it's caused an issue where do we go? And this is where I think, and this is for another show, but I think this is where the two-party system has proven it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You need another party. You need at least four. At least four.
Yeah, because again, I've seen, like, obviously when I first met you and was entering your show, like, I'm kind of walking on it. I felt like I needed to walk on eggshells, because I know from my background watching these SJW progressive videos that the media like to highlight and make us think that that's how all left people are. And then I meet someone like you and I see, well, you're actually that way on immigration. Oh, okay. Like, and I'm starting to see that the media are maybe highlighting.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but that's why it always irks me when you say the left, because the left is not just the people who are so far left. I mean, there are people who think that, okay, yes, I do believe, that we should have this, but we shouldn't have this. And I know that there are people on the right, because everybody on the right to me is not so far out there that they're, doing crazy things, so we do have the people who are in the middle. So.
I'm glad we had that little chat, because these are just supposed to be a little couple of minute intros, but that I've learned a lot from that. Like, and I kind of know, like I said, the media, they're using the 1% at either side to highlight and make it sound as if all people who vote left are progressives and all people who vote right are Trump people or Nazis, whatever you want to use. Like, I think that needs to be debunked, and I think hopefully we've done that by shedding some light on that. So I hope you guys enjoy the show, and tomorrow I'll be sitting down, editing, adding our music, and hopefully uploading the episode tomorrow night. Yeah.
And Bahram, can we tell people what the next episode is going to be, since you're taking the lead? Do you know what we want to discuss? Because we have so many topics. We have so many topics to discuss. So do you want to do the white fragility?
I was thinking about COVID. I think we should just get it out of the way.
Okay,
I think
COVID,
that's what,
right, because we do have someone who's going to come on. So everybody, our next episode is going to be on COVID. It's going to be in 2 weeks, so it'll be on April the 2nd. April the 2nd. So please follow us, live chat on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Friendly Differences Podcast.
Yeah. And I'm running the Instagram page, friendly_differences_pod. So follow us in there. That's where you'll get our updates when we're doing shows and when shows are uploaded. So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Okay, and we are live. Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to talk about immigration, pro or con, yes or no, illegal immigration or immigration of all kinds, anywhere, not just the U.S., the U.K., anywhere. And today we have two guests. We have Michael Kee and Michael Steele, and my co-host, Bahram. I'm sorry, is it you or you?
You,
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I always get them mixed up. So, and of course, I am Solid Blue Sister, and we will give the mic over to Michael Kee. So, you would like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your show?
Yeah, again, I'm Michael Kee. I host the Real Concervative Talk podcast. My background is in economics and finance. It's just we talk about all kinds of different social topics, and then I go into other shows like Lisa's and try to stir up trouble there.
Well, at least you didn't start a fight the way my co-host did on my show last Monday.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you'll have to go back and listen to that. He started it. and then he backed out of it.
You talk about flat Earth?
No.
All right, and we have Michael J Steele. Thank you for coming, and you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your show?
Hey, thanks for having me. Michael J Steele. I'm running for United States Senate of North Dakota. I've had a show on here on Podbeam since June 1st. It's the Michael J Steele for Senate show. We talk about politics, current affairs, legislative policy, international relations, all kinds of debate and crazy stuff on there. Michael Kee, Solid Blue Sister, calls in. So it's kind of what we do. And about 7.5 more months, we'll know who our next senator is in North Dakota. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, and I will just say this, and I'm going to get a little political here. Since I vote blue, even though I cannot vote in North Dakota. So, and I will go to my co-host, Bahram Yu. So,
I'm Baram Yu. The Baram Yu podcast has been up and running for about a year. Mainly, I do conspiracy theories, a bit of philosophy, politics as well. So I'm pretty well versed in the stuff that we talk about here. And with my co-host Solid Blue, we started this show. This is our 3rd episode, and I'm really excited about tonight's topic, which is immigration. So yeah, I'll pass the mic.
All right, so we're going to get started. So with immigration, from the background that I'm aware of, immigration started mainly in the 60s, and I do believe it was Ted Kennedy who introduced a bill to have people who were not citizens of the United States to come over to our country. And there was a way to do it. You had to, come over, you fill out forms, you take classes, and then, at times you have to pay a fee. And then it's taken a lot longer. Over the years, it's taken a lot longer for you to become a citizen. But in the end, you took a test. You stood before the judge, you raised your right hand, and you said that you were a citizen. Over the years, though, because of things that are going on in various places, we have people who are coming over, coming across our borders in an illegal way. And I know I'm going to have a lot of liberals who are not going to like me to say this, but I do not believe in illegal immigration. I think if you come here, you're welcome. Do it the right way. And I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this. I also do not believe that we should open our doors to people in other countries because they're having issues. I don't believe that Ukrainians should come over. I don't believe that Afghans can come over just because it's like everybody wants to come here. It's like, can you go to other countries, whatever? But we tend to open our doors and we give out all this money. But yet we have things that are going on here that we can't even fix. We have so many homeless people. We have, people want to, blame that, this governor, you come to your state, I'm in California, and you all have such an issue, whatever. One reason why we have such a big issue is because California is a warm state, whatever. But everybody wants to come. And we're giving out all this money. If you cross the border and you're doing it in an illegal way, I don't believe that we should accept you and put you in a detention center that U.S. citizens are paying for. Send them back, even if it means that you're just going across the border and there's that line there and you're standing over here and we're standing over here. We cannot afford it. We are so burdened with it seems like with so many foreign things that we cannot take care of our own. So that's my view. And I know I'm going to get some pushback, but Michael Kee. I'll go.
You sound more and more conservative every day.
The last conservative I voted for was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Counts. It counts. You're like, okay, you're a Joe Rogan type then, I guess, right?
Okay. Michael?
I agree with what you said. I do, wholeheartedly. I have personal experiences with immigration. My fiance is a Australian citizen. We've dealt with the whole process. We're dealing with the whole process right now. And I've also worked in farm fields down in Florida growing up, with the Mexicans in the farm fields, some illegal, some not. And I can tell you that the ones that did come here and do it right, that are working their ass off, they don't like the ones that took advantage of the system. I haven't met one that does. So, and as we go along in the debate, I have statistics on why I also don't agree with it, and we'll hit on that later. But that's, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Lisa.
All right, Michael Steele.
Okay, I'm just going to go back to November 2nd, 1883. This is on the Statue of Liberty, the opening day that they opened the Statue of Liberty up. I'm sure that everyone's familiar with Statue of Liberty. This is the poem that's on the Statue of Liberty. I've read this many times. It's by Emma Lazarus. It's called the New Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor, then twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your stored pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuge of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest toast to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. So we are all immigrants in America. And I think back to Cuba, all the great doctors and all the great scientists now that we have in the 80s, we had all these people coming. People were mad. All the Cubans coming on by boats, that are actually, if they can get 1 foot on the shore, they become United States citizens. Well, I'm pro-immigration because we need people right now. The birth rates in the United States are down 40%. We have 1.6 billion Chinese, 320 million Americans. The baby boomers right now need doctors, lawyers, and you got to look at all the successful Cubans that came to this country that people were totally against. And we're all refugees. Why should we judge? Judge not ye be judged. He without sin cast the first stone. Back to you, Solid Blue Sister.
I want to push back on you, but I mean, Bob, do you want to go first, or you want me to push back, or I don't know. You want to make a comment?
No, you go, Solid. If you've got something in your mind, if I was to talk, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so Michael, I understand what you're saying with the Statue of Liberty and everything, but it didn't include everybody. It really didn't. It didn't include people who look like me. We've been sent back many, many times. You have Haitians, you have other people from Africa. The only time that Africans, were allowed in here, willingly, was on a boat, and we were in, so, and even still with some of the Chinese people who came over, trying to come in around that time, they weren't allowed. The main people who were allowed were Europeans first, then Italians, and then Irish, but for the most part, the United States has a habit of picking and choosing who they want. And usually if you're of darker skin, they don't want us. So with that whole thing, it's just, when people bring up, Statue of Liberty, whatever. Back in 2017, I was on a class trip with my son, and it was at Washington, New York trip, that a lot of people take, with their kids for school. And we went to Ellis Island. And, I'm walking around, by myself. I'm looking at the whole thing. It was very interesting, learn a lot, whatever. But they're telling the kids, yeah, go over to the book. There's this big book where you can look and you can see if your relatives were here. And all these kids run over there. But I noticed my son and two other kids out of his group. Then I'm looking at other class groups or whatever. There's always people who look like me who were just kind of standing back because we knew we were not in this book. So like I said, I went around and like I said, I saw the entire thing. It was great, whatever. But again, so I'm sitting and I'm waiting for, them to, how you have to meet at a certain time, whatever. And I'm sitting there with this other, this other black guy, and we're just sitting there. We're just talking, whatever. And his daughter is off somewhere, and these three older white women came and they sat down and they were saying, "This is just so exciting." My aunt, whatever. So they look at us and say, "Isn't this exciting? We were able to find so and so, and were you able to find whatever?" And I looked at her and I just said, "No, my people came over on a different boat." And she looked and her face got red. And her friend looked at me and said, "You are so rude." And I just started laughing. And the other guy that I was talking to started laughing. And we're like, do they not get this? So I understand what you're saying. And I'm happy that she was able to find her great aunt and whoever else was able to find their aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents, whatever. But again, it was picking and choosing. And a lot of people who wanted to come over to this country were not allowed to come over. Michael?
Well, you're right, because, in 1938 through 42, the United States turned down hundreds of thousands of Jewish people whose lives could have been saved if we'd allowed them in to our country, who got sent back to Nazi Germany, who were killed in gas chambers. So there's something else that you're right about. Many people who should have been let in this country were killed in Nazi Germany. But I believe that most of the African Americans who were here built this country. They built our country on the backs of slavery, and we are indebted to African Americans that are here. They built Washington, D.C. They built America, so we owe a great debt to our African American brothers and sisters in America. But like I say, you're right. We picked and choose. We're responsible for the death of 127,000 Jewish citizens who came to Miami Harbor in New York, who were sent back to Nazi Germany to get killed in the camps. And we could have took them. We had plenty of people here, other Jewish citizens that wanted them here, and we wouldn't take them. We sent them back because we feared they were Nazi spies that were on these ships. That's what our reasoning was. By the president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the time, said they could be spies, which they weren't. They all got sent back and were killed. So you're absolutely right that we pick and choose, but we pick and choose who died too.
I mean, we pick it. Yes, we pick and choose. We pick and choose who dies, and we always come up with a reason. During World War II, we sent all these Japanese people to camps. Meanwhile, people were allowed to go in, steal their homes, take, art, whatever. I mean, they stole it. And as far as I know, these people never got it back. Yeah. Then they get the reparations, whatever. I think they got like 20,000, whatever. But again, you pick and you choose. So if you're going to have immigration, I'm just saying, do it the right way and do it for everyone. Don't say, "Well, you can come." Well, you can't come. Well, you can come, but you can't come. No, that isn't right. So, Bob.
So I'm in the same boat as Michael. I've got my wife's from California. I met her here in the UK while she was here doing her master's degree, and we fell in love. We decided to get married. We were separated for a year while our passport was taken off her. And that was hard. I had to put my house on the market, move in with my grandparents. And for that year, while all the processing was done, and £10,000, well, £6,000, £7,000 the first time. And now we're about 3 years in. So at the 2.5 year mark, we've had to pay out another £3,500. So we're about £10,000 deep. So, I've got a personal story about that, and it goes with my views. And not only before I met my wife, when I got into politics and I learned about immigration, it's like, well, when you live in a country that has taxation, I don't think you can have open borders and free flowing immigration, because you have to favour your own citizens, your nationals, the people that have paid tax all their lives, that have worked, paid into the system. And I see, I'm sure it's more evident in some certain states. And I mean, I've been to California, I've been to Las Vegas, I see the homeless problem, and yet you're flowing Mexicans and Honduras, the whole caravan thing. And these people, I don't know if it's the same, but here in the UK, we have the same problem. And these people are coming over more really from Eastern state, like Latvia, Russia, Polish. We had a big influx of them maybe in the early 2000s when I first got into work. When I was 16, 17, I got a job as a welder, apprentice welder. And from then on, that was when I think it was 2005, the UK seen a big influx of those Eastern Bloc countries. And it just bugged me because, and I'm not picking fights with these people. My brother-in-law, he's one of them. He's Russian, and him and my sister are engaged, and they have 2 beautiful boys. And he's a top guy, a gentleman. And it's not that people like me hate immigrants, or maybe some do. I'm only talking for myself. What I hate is seeing nationals, and more often, like you'll hear people say, some of these are veterans that are sitting on the streets begging. My sister was put on the housing market and told for 7 years she would be waiting for a council house, and she had to private rent, which is obviously way more expensive. And then the lists, the NHS we have here, the healthcare system, is just a shambles. And it's a well-known thing that if you're an immigrant, you go to the head of the queue, and that that's not conspiracy theory. That's real, because many people I know that work in the NHS, and they know that they just go to the head of the queue. They get their medicals, they get their health treatment, and meanwhile we suffer. So that's what's causing arguments, and I'm not saying that that's justified, but I do sympathize, and I'll also sympathize with the way in the work industry. I've talked to Solid Blue about this before on the show that me and you did, where I've been on building sites, and every Monday morning they'll use agencies, recruitment agencies, who the employer will just phone them up and say, look, can you give us 3 or 4, usually immigrants, and they'll come to the site on a Monday morning. They will, if they sleep in one morning, they'll just, right, give me another one. So I'm also sticking up for the immigrants, because they're coming over here, some of them risking their lives, some of them saving up their life savings, getting a flight to the UK or America or whatever. And, they want to work hard and send money home, and they're being treated awfully as well, because when the power's in the the employer's hands, we're just numbers. And that's another topic. We could talk about that on a different show, but that is what immigration is all about, is flooding our countries to give the power to employers and the elite, the government, and things like that. So that's where I stand to that. And just to finish off, can I ask you, Michael Steele, are you for open borders? Is that, I didn't quite catch from what you were saying. Are you for open borders?
Well, I was against the wall. I thought that was a big joke. In America, we don't need a wall. Robert Kennedy said walls are for keeping people in, not keeping people out. Look what happened in Nazi Germany.
Well, why did they have a wall around the White House?
Well, Hitler had walls in the Warsaw, Poland. He had walls.
But why did they have the wall around the White House?
Well, that's comparing apples to oranges.
No, it's
that's
not.
comparing apples to oranges. You got national security there. You got the heads of state.
And hold on.
Why do they have castles? I mean, come on.
Michael
Any
Kee.
That's
illegal
comparing
immigration,
apples to oranges.
illegal immigration isn't a national security concern?
Well, I'm just saying we need people here right now. We got our baby boomers from World War II. You got almost 1 million Americans are deceased right now. Right now, according to the head of all of our trucking unions, we're running at 50% right now. We got plenty of truck drivers that could come in from Mexico right now and drive trucks. You wonder why our food is so expensive right now is because we don't have truck drivers. We need workers here. We need small business people to come in and work for our small business. All over North Dakota where I'm at, and all the restaurants, hotels, motels, there's shortages of people. They'll come right out. We got 20,000 jobs in Fargo where I live. Right now we can't fill. In my town, Fargo, it's a town of 250,000 people, and we're coming up. 4 restaurants just closed last week because they have no help. So, I mean, the immigrants could come in. You know what they're doing? They take care of our elderly. A lot of the immigrants come in at the nursing homes, the hospitals. You know, they come in. They add a lot to our country. You know, and a lot of the immigrants they don't collect Social Security. They pay into all these Social Security taxes. They don't get to collect any of these taxes when they retire. You know, which is sad. They get exploited. You know, they're coming in. The illegal ones come in, they get $3.50 an hour working, and they get exploited. Why not let people in and fast track people? Because we need them now. We need them for all this money that Biden has given out, our president, for infrastructure. He said, we don't have enough workers to do the work right now. We're going to let people in no matter what to do, build our bridges. Our roads are in distress. We got trillions of dollars we're going to be spending, and we need workers. And you know where they're coming in? They're going to come in from other countries because we don't have the people to do it right now because of our senior citizens are outnumbering. The rest of the demographics are either in college, in prison. We've got 11 million people in prison, or we have elderly people. We need people right now, and we lost 1 million Americans right now. We got 190,000 children living in orphanages right now that need parents that they don't have anymore over this COVID. See, people aren't even talking about these problems,
Michael,
right?
The majority of people that died from COVID were not working age. They were elderly. Second, we have 4% unemployment. There's 6.3 million unemployed Americans to be counted in that statistic. That means they're seeking employment.
Well, some of these children, their grandparents were raising them because their parents had died.
Wait. Michael J., let Michael Kee get a chance to
respond. Sure, go ahead.
I agree with the orphan thing you're throwing out, but that's not adding to the workforce. Okay, that's a different topic. As far as statistics go, all right, there's 6.3 million Americans still unemployed. We have a 4% employment rate. It went up a little bit from 3.9% in January. Actually, I think it went down this month or last month to 3.8%, but it's around there. Okay, over 6 million unemployed Americans that are seeking employment. So why do we need anyone? Here's the other thing. Going back to illegal immigration. Per Border Patrol and ones that they've caught, run-ins, illegal immigration per month doubled in March of last year, right after Joe Biden came into office. Per this year, October, because it's the annual years for immigration is tracked October to October. October to February, as of now, there's 838,685 illegal immigration encounters with the U.S. Border Patrol. Out of that, 554,418 are single adults. They're not bringing family over here. All right, they're single adults and military-aged adults, a lot of them. Here's the other thing. We have 96,000 drug deaths or drug overdoses per year. 72% of that is from fentanyl. Out of all of those drugs, okay, the majority of that, roughly a vast majority, probably around 80 to 90% comes through land across the southern border out of Mexico. All right? That's more people die every year than almost in World War I, Americans, 110,000 Americans died. So every year we have almost as many Americans dying as we did in World War I from drug overdoses, the majority of that is shipped over here through Mexico. Here's the other thing. You're talking about COVID. Okay, great. Our own press secretary, Jen Psaki, when they asked her, hey, why is it that we're going to stop immigration from South Africa over the Omicron variant and not allow anyone in? We're testing everyone that wants to get on a flight to come in. They have to be vaccinated, but when they come across the border, you're not giving them any test or any vaccination. Her answer, correct. This is all on video and recorded. I watched the press conference. You can't deny it. All right? It's very reckless to just allow people to come in. Going back to the 1883 and the Statue of Liberty and that period of time there, I've gone back and tracked all of my immigrants. You know, Lisa talked about the Ellis Island and then the place over in LA, right, where you go see the book and your family coming over. At that period of time, that was the proper way to do it. That was the legal way to do it. There's a legal way to do it now. All right? Going to what Baugh said, I think Baugh and I relate. He's already a lot farther along in that process with his wife. But in 2 years, October of this year will be 2 years. I've only seen my fiance 1 month. And what will be 2 years, all right? Because once her visa was up during COVID, we made sure that she was not breaking the law, which means I sacrificed seeing the person I love the most in this world, all right, to respect the laws of the United States of America and the laws of Australia. Because if I go there, we're going to do it legally. We're going to pay whatever money it takes because she's worth it, all right? But that all should apply from the people that are coming up through the southern border. Here's the other thing. Not all of them are Mexican. A lot of them are Guatemalan. A lot of them come from other countries, right? If you're seeking asylum, look at what's going on in Ukraine right now. They're going to Poland. They're going to the border countries, all right? They're not walking thousands of miles through another country to get here. No, you go to the country next door if your country's bad. All right? As far as the Ukrainian refugees. And look, it's not a Mexican thing. It's a Canadian thing. Don't come here illegally. It's an Iceland thing. Don't come here illegally. And no one. I don't care if you're white, black, green, yellow. Don't come here illegally.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just about to add, like, did you know that Israel actually erected a wall and it stopped 99% of illegal immigration? So clearly walls work.
The walls is not just a wall. It's a system. All right. You couldn't have a wall along the whole border, but building a wall along a lot of the border concentrates where the Border Patrol can focus and allocate resources to where it's needed most, right? To the vacant places in the wall. It's not just a physical wall. It's a system of Border Patrol, of oversight, okay, that's going to help prevent people to come in. Walls keep people out. That's why you have gated communities with a gatekeeper, all right, there to keep people that aren't without permission to get inside of these neighborhoods, okay? It's not because the people inside can leave at any time. It's the people coming in that prevents coming in.
Okay, Michael Kee, I just want to say one thing. When you say why is there a wall around the White House, don't forget the former guy. He put up a wall because he was scared of all the protesters and what have you. So you're gonna talk about a wall. Let's be fair. The former guy he put that wall up. And in terms of
no, I wasn't pointing it out on who it was. I'm saying the whole general concept of there's been a wall around the White House for a while.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, I don't care who put it up.
And in terms of about the wall around the southern border, I think that's one of the worst waste of taxpayer funds. I'm sorry. Right. I am not for that.
We have 24,000 law enforcement agencies in this country. We have the greatest military in the world. And if we can't protect our border, and this border stuff he's talking about is poppycock, because we've been holding them. We did the Trump plan. They're being frozen and held in Mexico for the last 5 months. We stopped immigration. They have to be vetted, and they have to get checked for COVID and everything. They're vetted before they're even letting the country. We're not even letting any immigrants in here because Biden went with the Trump plan, and we've talked about this. I don't know how many times it's been on the news. There is no people just walking in like Michael Kee saying. You can check your facts and check his facts. I don't know where he's coming up with these created facts.
It's on U.S. government websites right here. The Border Patrol official federal government website, and then the CDC website for the drug. Okay, I can email it to you if you want.
Well, I think you watched a little too much Fox News or a little too much Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity. We've got Trump's plan going. They're not even being allowed over the border for the last 5 months. They're being vetted. They're being held in Mexico right now because the administration froze them over there. They can't come in no more. So I don't know what you're talking about. And it's a shame that your wife is being held and you've only seen her for a month. Well, then we got to fast track immigration so that she can come in.
No, she's not being
held. For small business, we need people to get fast tracked.
She's not being
held. You're the one who's saying you only got to see her for a month. Fast track
it. It's a process.
Come in.
Because it's a process and it's a legal process. Okay.
Well, we got Afghanistan. We got Afghanis right now working in factories right here, permanent members of North Dakota. We got Ukrainians here already coming in from Ukraine. I don't know who these people are. In Fargo right now working in factories. We got these people are permanent residents now because they're refugees.
Michael, these people should do it the right way. We shouldn't just let them in because there's a war.
Well, they're here. They're here.
Right. They are because we let them in. But once again, you have hard working people who are willing to do it the right way, who really want to become a citizen.
Well, I guess the Native Americans had a really good right way of coming into America. They had a great immigration policy, didn't they? When Europe and the Spanish conquistadors came over here. They had a real good immigration policy, the Native Americans, didn't they?
And Native Americans have gotten completely, over African Americans. Native Americans have just been completely screwed.
Right.
So when you look
at this is their land,
I mean, it was their land. It was totally theirs, and it was stolen. If anybody should have all of their land taken, and given back to them, the whole country should be given back to them.
Can I say something controversial?
But there should
Go ahead.
Hold on. But there should just be. I'm just saying that for Ukrainians and Afghans and all these other people, come in the right way. I'm sorry.
They're here. They're here. They're in Fargo. I could take you right now to Denny's at 3 a.m. You could have lunch and breakfast with them at 3 a.m.
I understand that.
And they didn't wait in line like Mr. Kee's wife. They're here.
But and again, Michael, I'm just saying. I'm Michael J. I'm just saying that we shouldn't have let.
They put them to work in these factories with bad lighting, and they work them 60 hours a week for $8 an hour. Until their kidneys fail and they die, they'll kill them on the job here in North Dakota.
Well, then they should stay. Then they should stay wherever they are. Then they should stay wherever they are and go work.
But they're going to get killed over in their country. It's kind of humanitarian reasons we bring them.
Let me ask you.
Hold on. Michael Kee, I know you want to say something that was controversial.
Yeah, I'm going to say that. Yep. So I got two things. The first thing on the Ukrainian deal. So it's women and children that are working in these factories then, because I believe 95% of the refugees are women and children because they have a mandate that any male between 18 and 60 has to stay behind in that country to fight.
Well, I told you that we have Afghans here. Afghans, too. We have Afghans. We have Ukrainian men here, too.
Well, they should be sent back because they broke the law in their own country.
They're here. And I've talked about them. I met them at West Acres. I've talked to them when I'm campaigning. They're here.
I don't know if I believe that because they arrested a guy in Moldova for trying to flee.
Well, you got 3 million people that left the country that are out of there. 3 million.
And they were arresting.
You got Russians that are coming to the United States now too, that are scared of Putin that have left the country. You got people got out. They seen the writing on the wall and they left. So they're out of there and they're leaving now too. They're letting them out. They're getting out of there as fast as they can. They're actually in Fargo working here in factories. We're taking them in. And Great Britain right now is giving $456. Each person gives a bed. If you give one bed, you get $456 US. to every bed for any Ukrainian person you take in right now.
Okay.
And I'm going to offer my bed. I offer my bed for free for 6 months. They're going to allow it.
Okay, Michael J, let me ask you this. So you believe that Afghans and Ukrainians should automatically be able to come in? They should automatically jump the line.
Well, they don't really have a country when they're at civil war. In America, you can't send anybody back to a country that doesn't have a country because it's a country at war.
Okay,
There's people trapped in airports right now in the United States. That's just the law. I'm going by the law of the land.
Hold on.
I go by the law of the land.
I'm not talking about the law of the land. I'm just asking your own opinion. Do you think that Ukrainians and Afghans and whomever else should automatically be able to just jump the line and come in?
Well, I think we should spread it out, and each country, NATO country, should take some people equally in proportionality. We should all take some. Like Britain now, Boris Johnson is taking people right now, but he's giving his people $456 a head to give a bed. Every bed you get $456.
Okay, so
for 6 months. I don't know what the plan is after 6 months.
Each family or each person who he's bringing in is getting this money.
Each family, like if you're in Britain and you got a couple bedrooms that are free, you get $456 each person.
Who's taking
so if you bring in 2 people, say you bring in a mother and a child, you're going to get double $456.
Okay, right.
Or a husband, a family. That's what he's doing now.
Okay, so Michael, do you believe that? And I don't want it to, and I'm not trying to attack you or anything, but
that's fast tracking immigration right now for 6 months.
But one thing that I also do not like is I think that people who come here illegally and are not doing things the right way, you should not be able to vote. You should not be able to buy homes. You should not be able to buy land. You should not be able to get health care. Right now, if an illegal person got shot, they could go to the ER and they would be welcome. They would be fixed up, whatever. If a citizen were to get shot, the first thing he would say is, do you have insurance? Well, I'm sorry, you don't. I'm sorry, but you can't come. We'll have to send you here or send you here. And then they keep getting passed and passed and passed. I don't believe that anything that a citizen has who is paying taxes, and yes, some of them do pay taxes, whatever, but you should not be able to buy land. You should not be able to buy any of this stuff, because this is one reason why Russians and the Chinese own so much of this country, because a lot of them are not citizens. We just allow them to come here. You want to buy it? Sure. You want to buy this whole part? Yeah, go ahead and buy it. And now we're complaining. And that's across the board. No matter who was sitting in the White House, we gave everybody just, come on. You want this, you want this, you want this. If you're not a citizen, you're not allowed to buy anything. That's just
did you know New York now and San Francisco, if you're a business owner and you live there and you pay taxes, you can vote in local races now. They've made it legal.
That's wrong. And I think that is wrong. So
people said these are outstanding citizens that create jobs. So that's why they're allowing them to do this, because they contribute a lot to the community. They pay taxes. They create jobs. And some of these citizens are outstanding citizens, so they're allowing them to vote. So I I like that idea.
Yeah, but does
Wait, Michael. Because I know Bob has wanted to say something.
So in your state, is it North Dakota? Do you guys have homeless, unemployed?
Yeah. We definitely do.
So do you not feel
here? We have 3 months of Arctic winter here, and it was horrible. And we just now started hitting the 40s and 50s this last week.
So why do you guys not put a focus on those people, getting them jobs, getting them homes before taking in immigration?
Well, the social services are the nonprofit areas do that. The nuns here do it, and we have nonprofits. Churches do that. We have Churches United for the homeless does that, and the New Life Center does that, which these are nonprofit organizations, and the churches do it and the nuns do that here.
But you didn't answer the question though. Why don't they focus on getting those people jobs or even yourself? Why aren't you saying we need to focus on getting these homeless American citizens jobs before we take any immigrant in and give them a job?
Well, I'm all part of the small business creation. I sent a bill to our state legislature, every one of them, when I become the next United States Senator of North Dakota. I'm going to incentivize small businesses that offer health care to small businesses, because that's a problem that we have in North Dakota is small business owners can't afford health care.
But that's not answering the
I'm going to
question.
incentivize, and we're going to help create jobs for people that homeless people.
Wait, Michael, wait, hold on. We cannot talk over people, okay. Michael Kee asked a question and he just wants an answer. So
Ba asked the question.
I'm sorry.
He's dancing around the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ba, can you ask the question again, please?
I mean, I know. I'm not saying you're dancing around it like Michael is. I'm just saying I just don't understand why any country, and especially in the microcosm, you could go into the states, and here you could go into the cities and look at those demographics of the homeless population and the unemployed population, and then, you know, if there is the problem that you talked about earlier, where it's a lot of elderly people and there's not enough people to fulfill the jobs, then, you know, reach out to other countries and say, look, we need this, give us people that want to come over here, and we'll, you know, fast track them or whatever, because then we want them. But in regards to flooding our countries, which, you know, I still want you to answer that. Like, why don't you think we should be investing in our own populace first before we take on immigrants? And I know what you're saying, using you know, non-profit companies and that, but the government should be doing it. It's their job. Their one job is to look after us and to make our world a better place. But clearly they're not doing that. And if they're going to shrug the sloppy shoulders onto the non-profits to say that's up to you guys, we're just going to flood the country and put the power in our hands, because that's what I see. You know, getting your population sky high gives all the power to the people in power, you know, the people with the money. And the other question I was going to ask is, we've talked a bit about refugee status, but isn't it in law that if to become a refugee or seek asylum, you have to go to the nearest safe country? And the only way you get that status is if you're demonstrably oppressed by your faith, your race, or creed. And Mexico, Honduras, Ukraine, there's a civil war going on, and they're not allowed to leave, but they should be going to their nearest safe space. But instead, I think I read this week that the four most the four countries that every immigrant wants to go to is the UK, America, Australia, and one other. Help me out.
France.
New Zealand or France? No, was it France?
Germany. A lot of them go to Germany. I know.
I've got a feeling it's France. But anyway, why? I mean, I know why that is, because we do the handouts, especially the UK. You're straight to the head of the queue for NHS. You're given a house. You're given a job on Monday morning. Whereas, like I said earlier, I know people that are struggling to get jobs, My nanny has had an operation this year, and it's taken her a year to get a tumor removed from her forehead, and it's turned cancerous, and yet you're getting people who are, you know, straight to the head of the queue, and that's my main gripe. I don't really need to. When you go,
I'm not a senator yet, and I'm not dancing around anything like you guys accuse me of. I'm telling you what I'm going to do when I am a senator. I'm telling you what I can do for people when I am a senator. We'll start fast tracking. We'll get people to work. That's why I have small business creation policies to put homeless people to work, to help homeless people. I've been homeless before. I know what it's like.
Hold on, Michael.
I've been homeless before. I've been homeless before. I know what it's like. We can put people to work. That's why we're going to create organic farming opportunities in North Dakota, so that we can get organic farming to the homeless population, to our school children, so that we can reduce cancer in the population right now in North Dakota and throughout the country. And we're going to do that. We got a lot of proposals we can do, but we can take care of a lot of problems. But People got to start reaching out to help their brothers and sisters and stop being so selfish and playing the point fingers and the blame game. You know, it takes a bunch of people to get things done. And if everybody's just going to start blaming and saying, well, I got this. And you know why why they're doing, like you said, our country does this to help this group from this foreign land. And same thing I get in America everywhere I go. I'm going to tell you the truth, what I figured out in college. Because I hear, well, I don't get this. I'm an American. They don't help me. You're in Scotland. They don't help me. You know why? We've been here a long time. You know what they think, the leaders, the 1%? We should know better. We should be connected. We've been in this country long enough. We should know the law. We should know the rules. That's the truth. We're connected. We should know better. We shouldn't be in the position and the shape we're in right now. And if we self-punish ourselves, that's our problem. That's what they think. That's why, that's it. We should know better. That's the honest to God's truth. That's all I can think of, because people say, I'm an American. Why can't I get a free house? Why can't I get these perks? These foreigners come in, they take jobs, they take this, they take that. Because we've been here for our whole lives. If we're not doing well, that's we made a mistake. We screwed up. We should know better. We're connected. We know the ropes. We know what to do. And we should know what to do. We should know how to fight back. We know the law. So let's fight back. Let's stand up. Let's stand up. Instead of being gutted, we're being gutted. Okay. Don't let them gut us no more, and stand back, stand up and fight.
And that's why we shouldn't let them in. So, Michael Kee?
You can say, yeah, we should know better and all that stuff. The thing is, look, and Lisa, I know you don't like this, but I think when I look at a lot of the policies from the left, okay, and I don't like attacking left or right or whatever, but I'm just saying what I observe. They don't take into consideration that there's a limited amount of resource. The only unlimited resource in this earth is stupidity. All right, that's it. But there's only so many jobs. There's only so many people to fill those jobs. All right, but right now we have more people unemployed than there are jobs. Here's the other thing. When the illegals come in, and like Michael Steele said, they're working for like $3.50 an hour. They're working a lot cheaper, right? So businesses exploit that labor. So it's not that we should know better. It's the fact that we know that there's opportunities. We know there's jobs. We know we need to go get a job, but the opportunity is stolen because someone that was allowed in here, all right, and they didn't come in the right way. They broke the law. Is now taking up the job, and I can't compete with that wage. You know, I'm forced to make.
Companies aren't finding them enough.
Wait, hold on. Don't.
And I would agree. I think we should punish businesses, substantially punish businesses that hire illegal immigration. Here's the other thing. Right now, or the big thing, we have lower class, we have middle class, we have upper class. We know the class system. Okay. I would make the argument that, at least coming from the southern border, the illegal immigrants, all right, are all lower class. Why? Because if they were upper or middle class in their own country, they'd probably either be staying there because they're living a good life, or they would come here legally. They're all lower class. We are trying to, or we have it, Joe Biden's big term, we're going to build from the bottom up and the middle out, which is impossible economically, by the way, but we're going to build from the bottom up, middle out. He says it all the time. You can't build up a lower class or a middle class when you keep adding 250,000 people a month into the lower class. All you're doing is replenishing the people you're trying to build up. And what does that do? It falls back on the Americans, okay, like the black communities, you know, like in South, what did you say, South LA?
It's now called South LA.
South LA, okay. But like those communities, right, that have been here for a while, all right, that are now losing opportunity and focus because now we're allocating resources that could probably go help citizens. And I'm not a social welfare person, but I am more of a social welfare person for citizens and people that come here the right way and are trying to make it and working their ass off than I am for someone who's just going to come here breaking the law. Everyone knows it's illegal to come to the United States without going through the right processes. There are some countries, by the way, Australia's illegal immigration, how they handle that, they're one step behind actually shooting them. If you go and read about it, they ship you to an island, you're detained, and then they send you straight back. All right, and they record it and don't get caught again. China, some other countries have a shoot on sight policy when it comes to people coming in illegally. And we're allowing, just come on. Now, as far as the Ukrainian refugees, the majority of them are women and children that left a husband behind because by law, that husband had to stay back and fight. I will say, I don't think they should come here, all right, and be given any priority over anyone else, and they shouldn't be allowed to work. But the difference between them is since they left someone behind, they're probably more likely to go back, all right?
Or that person will come here.
Yes, but we shouldn't allow that. That's the thing, right? These countries, if you're going to take in refugees, once this is done or it's figured out, you need to go back. Mm-hmm. All right? And I am all on board with the Ukrainians. I think it's great what they're doing. I don't know how there's men from Ukraine that are working here because I watched videos of them arresting Ukrainian men trying to come across the Polish and Moldovan border and stuff, trying to flee when they're by law required to stay there and fight.
We have a lot of Polish here in North Dakota that are illegals. The farmers love them. They come here and they work 6 months. They come here and they work 6 months for the farmers, love them, and they know how to farm real good. The farmers exploit them, use them. They get them dirt cheap, the Polish. Then the immigration comes. They send them back to Poland and then they're gone 3 months. They come back 3 months later, the same people. I don't know how they get back here. But the farmer gets a little slap on the hand. He makes hundreds of thousands of dollars on these Polish farmers that come back here. Yeah. And then in 3 months, he just says right on the news, well, I don't mind paying the little fine they give me. It's worth having them work here.
And that's wrong.
You know, yeah, I pay the fine, and then they leave for 3 months, and 3 months later, they're back farming in North Dakota again.
That's wrong.
And he pays the fine, and he don't go to prison, nothing. He keeps his farms. He'll do it over and over every year. You know, and that's how America really works, you know, and that's how we do it here.
So we agree on that aspect that the businesses that are taking advantage of this system need to be punished. 100%.
Right. And that's what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, and they're exploiting these people, though. It's exploitation on both sides. You know, what bothers me is a kid over in Korea is working for a quarter an hour making tennis shoes that he can't afford to buy. And our kids in America are killing each other for these $200 tennis shoes that are exploiting our kids over here, too. You got that going on, too. You know,
that's not an American. That's an American problem because our American businesses are taking advantage of the cheap labor over there. Yes, but as far as who's allowing it, that's a China problem. That's a North Korean problem. That's also why we're having harder times competing in overseas business because China doesn't play by the rules. Right? They utilize slave labor in certain and they're making goods at next to nothing price where we can't do that here in the United States.
When I go to Walmart, I get my tennis shoes for $15-$20. You know, I don't pay $200.
Yeah, whole different conversation though. By the way, you talked about we need people, okay? Because
we
only have 330 million. Well, hold on.
Talk to nurses, doctors. Talk to people, factories. Talk to people.
Hold on.
They need people.
We have 330 million people here in the U.S., right? And you said, oh, well, China has 1.6, whatever it is, right? But you said China has 1.6 billion or whatever. You know what the GDP per capita is in China compared to what it is here? GDP per capita here, I believe, is in between. It's over 50. I want to say it's around $60,000 per person. In China, it's at 10,000. All right. There's a huge, huge economic gap in the average citizen in China and the average citizen in the United States. All right. So more people doesn't mean that, oh, it's going to make our economy better. No, it's going to make it too competitive. All right. And it's going to suck out a lot of people that normally would be filling jobs or could be. All right. It's going to cause a lot of problems. You can't just let people come in at will because then the supply far exceeds the demand.
I'm talking about birth rates. You look at our birth rates and you look at China's from like 1954 till now. There was a time where the United States and China, we were the same amount of people. I'm looking at birth rates. Ours have diminished. Our birth rates are dropping. So if our birth rates keep dropping in the United States, we're not going to have anybody left here to do anything. So we're going to have to let people in to fix our bridges, roads, take care of our grandchildren, take care of us. Who's going to do it? You know, and our kids all want to go to college or play video games. They don't want to do this hard labor. These people in Mexico, they want to come in. They'll do the hard labor. They said it, and they're doing it for $3.50 an hour now.
Okay, so Michael, then let me ask you this: when you said that our kids, don't want to do the hard,
no, they don't want to do it. I got two boys.
Wait, hold on. Is it because of the way they're being raised?
No, it's the wages.
One thing that I can say, I'm so proud of myself. I really am.
They're not going to do it for $3.50 an hour.
When my son was younger, he did not have a TV in his bedroom.
That's good.
I did not let him do it. And even though smartphones were just starting to come out, whenever he cried or whatever, I did not stick a phone in his hand or a pacifier in his mouth, whatever. I didn't do any of
That's good.
of that stuff. And I see the way my son is now. He rarely watches TV at all, but he's able to occupy himself. And at the same time, it's like he had chores that he had to do. Okay, even now he's home for a spring break. I don't have to tell him to do whatever. He automatically does it. So it's like, is it the way we're raising our kids that we're allowing them to have all these phones and cars? As soon as you turn 16, you get a car and whatever. I did not. My mother and father told me that if we wanted a car, we didn't get one at 16, but if we wanted a car when we graduated, we had to get straight A's through high school. That wasn't going to happen. So guess what?
Buy my own.
So guess what?
I had to get a job and buy my own car.
I did not get a car. I had to buy my own car, and I didn't get that until I was I think 24. Whatever. But I'm just saying, is it the fact that they don't want to do it because of the way we're raising them? If we raise them that, at the time,
video games.
Hold on. At the time, to get a worker's permit, when I was growing up, you had to be 14. I was working a summer job at the age of 14. I had to pay my mother, which I thought was horrible and so much money. I had to give her $10 out of each check for rent. And I was like, oh my God, you're taking my $10, whatever. But I'm just saying, and then you're 16 now where you're able to work, but we're not telling our kids to go out and get a job. When I was growing up, you told your kid, you are going to get a summer job. Yes, you can do this, but you're going to get a summer job. You are going to work. And then you work. And then when September came, you went back to school. But and we're not teaching our kids this. So instead we're like, well, don't get the immigrant to do it. Don't get this person to do it. I don't want to do it. Our kids are growing up entitled because we're allowing them to. So is that part of the problem?
I think that's a big part as well. But also, I know here in the UK, a lot of people, and I'm not defending it at all, but when the welfare is paid more than getting a job, that's going to cause a problem as well. There's a lot of people saying, I'm not going to go out and work for £7-8 an hour when I can get, welfare, job allowance and all this stuff, and their quids in. And they also get their rent paid for, or some of, and their gas, electric. And I've got a friend right now who, for the last year, he's been on universal credits and he's getting maybe, I would say it's like £1,100-1,200 a month. And he's also getting his rent paid for him. And he's looking at getting a job and going, why would I get a job? And I'm like, I totally get it, but at the same, like, who's the mug? But I'm not going to defend that attitude because I don't like that. I think we need, more morals instilled into us. Like, that's for me. As soon as I was 15, 16, I had a paper round. I got an apprenticeship at 16. And if I, the summer that I wanted to leave school, my stepdad made me wake up every Saturday and Sunday. He would set an alarm at 7 a.m. He would get me up and he would get me to cut the grass, paint the fence, paint the garage. And I hated him at the time because all my friends were out playing football and here's me painting the fence. And I remember when I got a job and I was about 20 years of age, I had a few drinks with him in a pub and I turned to him and I said, you know something, thank you for that, because it made me, had about maybe 15 jobs, and I'm 33 years of age. But the longest I have stayed unemployed is 2 weeks, because I know I need to work. I need to earn a certain amount. Like Michael was about to say, you need to earn a certain amount. I can't take a job for £9-10 an hour, because I have bills to pay. And that's what, is missing from this, the people, a lot of people in this generation, that they just don't see it that way. And, they're just, and I don't, like I was going to say, I don't want to stick up for these people, but if you're getting more money from the state than you would be from a job, that is going to be a problem. And it's not that these people will do it. And I would say fixing it is not by flooding our country to keep the wages down. I'm a welder, and I know that the average age of a welder in the UK right now is 56 years of age. So I'm assuming in the next 10 years, say, the money will come back to me. I work with a lot of men, and they say in the 80s and the 90s, they were taking home £1,000 a week. Now we're lucky to take home £500 a week. And, there's no double time anymore. There's no nothing like that. It's all agency work. Agencies will take you on. They'll charge your employer £20 an hour, and you'll get 15 of it if you're lucky. And that's the way the system is set up. And the government know that. That's what they're doing. They're flooding our countries with loads of people to give the power to the employees and all that. So
automation's taken over too now.
Yeah.
And what I asked some geniuses one time and professors, I said, when robots and automation takes over, what is the end game? And you know what it is? We all go back to college. And eventually the state takes care of us all globally, is what they told me. And we're all going to go back to college. I said, well, what, our brains get this big or what? We're all going to go back to college when everything's automated. We're all going to be out of work one day. That's the end game. And that's what they told me, these super elite geniuses. So
can I clear up a misconception though about the wages being paid to some of these people? Now, again, I personally, throughout college and stuff, my dad works for a large family farm down in Florida, in Immokalee, Florida. And my job in high school and college was working in the fields, all right, with the immigrants, all that. I was at the bottom of the bottom, done all that work. First of all, it's not that there aren't people willing to do that work. There's a lot of people willing to do that work. A lot of it goes back to a misconception about how much these people are paid. I was the lowest paid person out there. I was making $8 an hour. All right. I didn't, every other person out there, illegal or legal, was making between $12 and $15 an hour. Also had a 401k, full health benefits, and some paid leave. They got very good benefits. And that's a lot of farms across the country will do that. So it's not everywhere where they're making $3.50 an hour. People think, oh, well, I'm going to go out there and work with the Mexicans. They're making hardly anything. No, a lot of them are making good money. They don't live like it because a lot of times they send that money back to Mexico, and their families live like kings when they send that money back to Mexico.
And they bring in the good mota too from Mexico, and they can drive new trucks.
Yeah, but that economy is going back to Mexico. It's not even, that money's not being spent here to pay sales taxes. It's not they're living in trailers and little migrant communities, right? Not because they have to.
A lot
because
of migrant
that money
workers
back.
in Minnesota and North Dakota. I got some of my best friends are migrant workers, and they went back to Texas. They go back to Texas when the winter hits here. They go to Texas.
But it's not because they're broke. It's not because they're broke.
They got money.
All.
They got nice trucks. But these are legitimate migrant workers. These aren't the illegals. These are legitimate. I'm talking about legitimate migrant workers do pretty well, but they travel, they migrate.
But the illegals will too, because I've worked. The majority of them were legal. All right. Great people, very hardworking people. Look,
right.
Discounting how hard these people work.
Exactly. So that's why I don't like Trump saying these are your murderers, your drug dealers, your killers, your pimps. They're not. These people are good, hardworking people. And I don't like them getting stereotyped as killers, murderers, and robbers and, putting this fear in people's minds. They're not. I know these people.
A lot of them are. You don't know who is. Okay, we're not vetting them when they're here illegally. If they're here illegally, then we don't necessarily know that they're here, and we're not vetting. They could be.
We should know with 24,000 law enforcement agencies operating in the United States right now. We should know who they are.
And we would know if they came in the right way.
Exactly. We would know up front. But when they come in illegally,
we know a lot.
But when they come in illegally, hell, half the time, every time, it's funny because a lot of the times when you see one of these illegals breaking a law, a rape, a murder, which you see often, okay, it's not like this is unheard of. This happens in California. There was a big case with that girl not long ago, right? She was killed by an illegal
in San Francisco. Yeah,
and he came 4 times he was deported or something. They knew he was a bad guy. Oh, just send him. And they're not sending you, 1,000 miles away from the border in Mexico, right? They're putting you just right across the line in on Ciudad Juarez there that connects to El Paso or somewhere like that. But where I was working, again, this is a personal experience, okay? Because people have this misconception. The majority of them were legal, but there were some illegals out there, and they were getting paid just the same as the legal ones.
Yeah, but they'll never collect any government benefits. They'll never get Social Security. They don't have proper identification.
but they're still.
They do, though. They do.
The head of Social Security said that the illegals paying over $4 billion a year to take care of our grandparents. And
let me tell you how they get this stuff.
If we run them out of here, we're going to lose $4 billion a year, and our parents and grandparents will have a shortfall. We won't be able to pay our Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. He's a pro. He's pro.
Okay, but
illegal immigrants.
Okay, Michael,
illegal immigrants.
But once again, we should still, okay, why aren't we like the Chinese people where they take care of their elderly? So why are we relying on? I mean, I don't want to rely on an illegal person to take care of me.
Well, have you been to any of your local hospitals? You know who my doctors are from in North Dakota? My best doctors that have healed me and operate, they're from India. My doctors are all from India. They're great. My best doctors.
But at the same time, though, we also have people here who want to be doctors, who want to be dentists, and all this other stuff, but because it's too expensive,
do with it.
Hold on, because it's too expensive. We make it too expensive for them to go to school. We're just giving money to these other people. You want a scholarship? Oh yeah, come on over, whatever. But we're giving everything to them.
They got to make the grade. They got to get that GPA. Our people got to step up. We should know better. We should know better.
There are a
We're
lot
established.
There are a lot of smart people here, and I think that if we started saying, give us the incentives that we're giving them, then you'll have the GPAs or whatever. But I'm sorry, Michael, we are giving too much free money.
People aren't doing the sit downs they did in the 60s. People aren't protesting. They're not letting their voices be heard. They're not doing what they were doing.
Okay, but we do protest, but when we protest,
not much.
Oh, see, that's where I disagree. I mean, we protest and we protest and we protest, but unfortunately, and history has shown, when we protest, we tend to get, the batons and the horses and the fire hoses and things like that. There are a lot of people who are protesting. I don't know. I just look at, America and even the UK. They're
the students in North Dakota didn't protest. They were just allowed to vote the last 5 election cycles. They're college students that lived on campus, and they had to really scream and shout finally this year to get to vote.
Are you talking about people?
I was saying in North Dakota,
Michael,
where was the sit down? I was saying nobody's doing
people who were not citizens.
Protest.
That college students who were not citizens were?
No, these were citizens that were going to college in North Dakota, and they didn't get to vote the last 5 election cycles here because they were living on campus. They did get to finally vote because they pushed the envelope, but I was saying, where's the sit down? This had been these students would have been up in arms.
I voted.
They would have been up in arms.
Michael, when I was on campus, I was allowed to vote. I just went back home and I voted.
Mm-hmm.
So right. Important right there. Hold on. Michael, they didn't. It's not that they didn't have the right to vote. Look, when I got to college, the first time I voted, I went back home. It was 14 hours. I went back home, voted. Hold on. The second time, I registered to vote locally. Look, the right to vote, has nothing to do with, you live on campus. It's no, they were too damn lazy to go register to vote in that area in the precinct that's right by them.
They got an affidavit. They got an affidavit from the college to vote, and I watched them. I was working the polls. They brought it there. The poll staffers wouldn't let them vote. They said
Michael,
you can't vote, and they sent them
Michael,
home.
Michael, I am
They
one
did
person.
this year, though. They get to
I am
vote
one
this
person
year.
who is 100% for, voting rights, but I do know
Yeah.
that when
North
you
Dakota,
vote,
check it out.
wait, hold
Yeah.
on though. When you vote, you either, if you're living on campus or even if you're, I don't care if I'm in North Dakota, whatever.
Yeah.
If I wanted to vote for Newsom here, I would just fly back home and I would vote.
Well, college students, not all students going to a public university got money to fly home in the middle of winter in North Dakota.
So
The money.
Hold on, Michael. You make a very good point. So if you're not going to be able to go home, whether you're flying, walking, taking a ship, whatever, then you register locally and you vote.
Another pro for
they were all legal. They got the right to vote this year because they brought it up to the Supreme Court. But it took them a long time. And the Native Americans didn't get the right to vote here because they lived on the reservations, and the state of North Dakota said they didn't have permanent.
That's wrong too.
Okay,
I've already disproven that too.
But that was
they got the right to vote because they had to take that to the Supreme Court, and they finally got the right to vote this year.
Michael, they took the Supreme Court. They took
in 2022.
What they took to the Supreme Court, by the way, was in 2017, I believe, to use a tribal ID. But before 2017, they didn't need an ID at all. So they've always had the right to vote since 1924. Okay.
But they didn't get the right to vote in North Dakota because they couldn't afford the ID. So all these Native Americans
didn't need an ID before 2017. But you didn't need any ID.
Why did they go to the Supreme Court, Michael Kee?
Because in 2017, they said now you need an ID, and the tribal ID didn't count. So, but before 2017, you never needed an ID, period. So they didn't have to afford an ID.
Right. But
so they had the right to vote.
They didn't get to vote.
Oh my God. Okay, look, going back to the school thing.
They didn't get to vote.
Going back to the student thing, all right?
This year they get to vote.
Stop. If you are going to vote, if you're going to vote.
I live in North Dakota. I helped fight for this right to vote. My cousin came here.
Michael, stop.
Okay. Guy don't even live here, and he knows what I went through here to help people vote.
Michael, hold on. Okay.
This guy.
Okay, Michael, hold on. There's only 4 of us here. There's only 4 of us here, so we are going to have to let each other talk. We cannot talk over each other. We're going to have to let each other talk.
Yeah, Michael Kee. Let me talk.
Hold on. Michael J, hold on. We're going to have to let everyone talk. Okay, so I am going to go back to Michael Kee. Michael J, please try to let him finish, and then you can say something, but please
He talked over me. He talked over me. I was talking about the native. He started talking over me.
Please. Michael Kee, go ahead.
If you want to vote in your California elections, let's say you're from California, you go to school in North Dakota. If you want to vote for Newsom, okay, then you basically are saying you want to remain a resident of the state of California and vote in their state elections. As far as the presidency is concerned, okay, you can register to vote in North Dakota. I know you can do that. It's the same everywhere, okay, for the federal elections. And I did it. Sounds like Lisa did it when she was in school. I just re-registered to vote in a new state, by the way, okay, to vote at that precinct. It's not that the kids didn't have the right to vote, okay, because they're living on campus, because they didn't go and get registered to vote, which is free, by the way, all right, to vote at the precinct. Here's the thing. If you want to vote in the North Dakota state elections, then you're saying that you want to be a resident of North Dakota, because only residents of that state should be allowed to vote in that state. And if you're going to be a new resident of North Dakota, then you need to register to vote in North Dakota and do what it takes to become a resident. Second, as far as the Native American thing, let me clear this up. 1924, all right, they came out with the bill to give all of the Native Americans citizenship, whether they live on a reservation or not, also the right to vote. Now, some states did not allow them to vote still, up until the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s. After that, they had the complete right to vote. No one needed an ID at that point. Therefore, they didn't have to afford an ID, and that's not what's keeping them to vote. It wasn't until 2017, okay, when they started saying no, you have to have an ID now, starting 2017. So before that, Indians could vote. They went to the the Supreme Court because they wanted to say, well, we have a tribal ID starting 2017. Can that work? And they said no, but they got it overturned. But before 2017, none of that even mattered. No one needed an ID, period. So you were allowed to vote. They had the right to vote. To say they didn't have the right to vote or that a college kid didn't have the right to vote is wrong. It's misinformation.
Wow.
I can't even. It's wrong. Okay, it's a lazy thing. It's people aren't
he
being
had his
active.
time. Can I talk now? You only got to live in North Dakota 30 days to vote. You don't have to register in North Dakota. We have open voting. All you got to do is live here 30 days. Okay. And I said
you don't have to register to vote.
You don't have to register to vote in North Dakota. You only got to live here 30 days. All you need is a state ID, and you bring up your electric bill showing you've lived here 30 days, or your cable bill, or whatever. That's it. We have open voting, and you bring your state ID. Well, that's what we do in North Dakota. Most of these students, first of all, will live here 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 years of their life on campus. They'll live on campus, and they're going to be here donating, paying in-state tuition to North Dakota. They're going to be doing their doctoring here. They're going to be working here. They're going to be paying taxes. They're going to be eating here. They're going to be buying everything. They're going to be living here, contributing to our economy. And the state said, and they got a letter from the college saying that they're residents of North Dakota. They've lived here for 30 days. Just like they said, the law said, they went, and I watched them bring their affidavit. They were being denied by the Republican Party. Al Jaeger said they couldn't vote because they were not residents of North Dakota. So for 5 election cycles from 2017 on, just like the natives, they weren't allowed to vote. The Native Americans, all of a sudden, like you said, just like you said, they weren't allowed to vote. Well, most of the natives figured if they got to go get an ID to vote, they weren't going to vote because they didn't have picture IDs. They thought it was bullcrap. My cousin, Mark Ruffalo, the actor, came to North Dakota and bought everybody on the reservation an ID after the state reversed it this year, and they went to the Supreme Court to be able to allow to vote. Now, you got to get your facts straight because it's all over the internet, and the Supreme Court straightened it out and allowed them to vote with the state ID, and they got to vote. But he went out and had to buy them IDs. So they did get to vote, and Al Jaeger now is resigning after this year, but he's the one responsible. And you got to remember, we don't have to register to vote here. You only got to be a citizen here 30 days. These students here were already living here for a year or 2 years at the time, so they had every right to vote.
So in 2012, were Native Americans allowed to vote in 2012 when no ID was needed?
Well, when I was working the polls in 2012, the Native Americans, when they were calling my headquarters, they were saying that the Republican Party came and got their ballots, and they were finding them in the dumpster. They were calling up in all the 5 reservations, finding them in the dumpster. No, they didn't get to vote. They were getting thrown in the dumpster.
Well, who filled the ballots out then if they couldn't vote? You're talking about something. I was
calling D.C. and telling them they were thrown in the dumpster. They were thrown in the dumpster.
That's 2 separate problems, though, but they still voted. They still placed the vote. They still
filled the ballot out. In 2012, when I did the polls, they were getting thrown in the dumpster. So, no, they weren't getting the right to vote.
There's issues there that's wrong, right? They shouldn't be doing that, but they still were allowed to vote.
That's all we could do is report it to D.C.
But Michael J., what Michael Kee is asking you, even though those ballots were thrown in the dumpster, which he's acknowledging is wrong, they were still able to go into a city hall or a gymnasium, whatever. They were still able
prior to 2017, but they were denied from 17 to 21.
Michael,
5 years.
In 2012, were the Native Americans able to vote?
Well, I suppose, but they weren't. They weren't getting to vote because they were throwing their stuff in the garbage. But for 5 years, they weren't. For 5 years, they weren't. They weren't allowed.
They were thrown in the dumpster, which was incorrect, but they were able to fill out that ballot. They were able to circle or check or whatever.
I guess.
Okay. All right.
Well, they were found them in the dumpster, but
so they had the right to vote.
5 years, they weren't allowed to vote from 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. they were not allowed to vote. They were denied the right to vote for 5 years.
So I want to
In
just one more thing. And I'm done.
2022 or 2021, last year, after they were denied, they took it to the Supreme Court, and now they're allowed to vote this year.
So you're saying people do throw ballots away, though, right?
This year, the Native Americans tried to merge two tribes together to have 8,686 members so they can get a representative that's a Native American in the Senate and the House. And the state said no, they gerrymandered it where they are not going to have representation in the House and Senate of North Dakota. They said no, we're going to gerrymander it so now they can have these two members. So there's another lawsuit in North Dakota where the two tribes are suing the state of North Dakota in the Supreme Court because they're not allowing them representation. They're not allowing them to have a state senator or a state house representative.
Different issue.
That's the new one this year.
Okay,
You're acknowledging that people.
We are at the 121 mark. Okay, so we target for 130. So this is what I'm going to do.
My state sucks. That's why I'm running for Senate.
Hold on. I'm gonna have to go to how I usually do it on my show. All right. So what we're gonna do is, and Bob, you've been sitting there just listening, whatever. I am going to start with Michael Steele, okay? And everyone is going to be able to get in their last words, whatever, uninterrupted, okay? Uninterrupted. If you interrupt, I'm going to mute you. So,
Can I add something before we go around?
Yes, Bob, go ahead.
Maybe it's just me, but just when we go around the room again, what would you do if you were president of America, or in my case, Prime Minister of the UK, in regards to immigration? Talk as if you were running for that role and how you would deal with the population and immigration. What would you do?
You're asking me?
Well, no, I'm saying once we go around the room, let's go around the room and ask that, because I think we've talked a lot about like the housing, the homelessness, all these issues, but ultimately I'm more interested in the problem that it can cause, or in some cases, I believe immigration is key, that we need to have it, we need to introduce it because we don't have the population to fulfill certain roles. So what would you do? How would you set out your policies in regards to fees? Like I've said, I'm £10,000 deep with my wife, and I'm sure Michael Kee's the same. How would you fix that? What would you do?
Okay, I am going to start first, and I'm going to go to Michael Steele, and then I'm going to go to Michael Kee. Okay, no interruptions, none, zilch, none. Okay, none. If you do, I'm going to mute you. You're going to be on timeout. You're going to be put in the corner. Okay, so no interruptions. If I were running for president, whatever, and I literally would go and find anyone who is here illegally, I don't care if you've been working, whatever, sorry, you got to go. And when you leave, I'll have a rouster, whatever, your name, your family's, whatever. And if you want to get in line to come here the right way, you're more than welcome. But for starters, you got to go. And I'm sure I may lose followers over this, whatever. But I'm sorry, if you're not here the right way, you have to go. I don't care if you're paying taxes. I don't care if your kid is about to, they're a senior and they're about to become a doctor or whatever. You got to go, and you can come back in the right way. All right, Michael J Steele, you are next.
Well, if you want to come to America, you want to play by the rules, you want to be fair, you want to pay taxes, you're going to come here, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to take care of our elderly, our senior citizens, you're going to build our roads, our bridges, you're going to work in our hotels, motels, you're going to grow our food, you're going to help out here. We need help. Our elderly population is growing older. We need truck drivers in America right now. We need people to take care of our senior citizens. Our World War II veterans are dying off. Our Korean War veterans are dying off. Our Vietnam veterans are in the hospital now. They need people to take care of them. Our infrastructure is crumbling. We need people here to rebuild America. You know, almost every country in the last 100 years has been rebuilt. Germany's been rebuilt, Japan's been rebuilt, you know.
Duh.
Most of the countries, England has been rebuilt. Our country's the only country in the last 100 years, 75 years, that hasn't been rebuilt. So now we're rebuilding it now with that 1.7 billion of the first stimulus Joe Biden got, but we need people to do the work to rebuild it. Do we have the people? I don't think so. And also we need people to help with our small businesses. Right now, Mexico, you only have the rich and the poor. There is no middle class. There is no different sectors. Like Michael Kee said, you got these different levels of poor, richer. You only got two classes, rich and poor. I got people that live in Mexico, and I know there is no middle class there. There's just rich and poor. Bring your poor here. They want to work. Let's help. Let them help their families. We come here for religious freedom, from religious persecution. People were getting killed. Why we came to America for religious freedom. That's what it's all about. And one last thing, if it isn't Scottish, like Michael Myers said, it's crap.
All right. Michael Kee, thank you for not interrupting. Michael J, do not interrupt. Okay. Michael Kee, you have the mic.
So I like Lisa's plan. We need to enforce it, substantially need to enforce it. You know, you need to cut it out. I think we need to punish it a little harsher. We need to treat it like a true crime, because it is a crime against our own citizens, the people that are trying to work hard and contribute to the country legally. You know, I would also say that as far as the rebuilding thing is concerned, you know, he listed Germany, Japan, and the UK. You know, when you have three countries ravaged by 2 world wars, extensive firebombing, a Holocaust, and 2 nuclear warheads, I would say that, you know, new infrastructure is definitely in demand. The last thing I want to go out on is Michael J admitted that throwing ballots away happens. It even happened at a poll that he worked at. So you're acknowledging that stuff goes on. And then if you're working at the poll, why didn't you go and take those ballots and turn them in yourself?
I turned them into Washington, D.C.
No, but why didn't you turn the ballots in and get those ballots out and make sure that they got, as a poll worker, you know, make sure they got sent to the right place if you saw it happen?
They got called into D.C. headquarters to the FEC, Federal Election.
Days later, that'd be days or weeks later, though. I'm talking about that moment in time.
We got called in at night after the election. We got called in. They found them after the polls were closed in the garbage.
So did they submit them if they found them?
The people at the polls told us, the Native Americans at the reservation said, they were in the dumpsters. They found them on the res. They didn't get turned in. We turned them into the FEC.
So you did turn the ballots in. So they did get counted. So they did fully contribute to the voting system.
Probably not, because the polls were closed at 7:00 in North Dakota. They probably didn't get counted. They probably that was that. You know, probably didn't get counted. We just sent them into the FEC, and that's what they told us. Bundle them up, send them to the FEC. They probably didn't get counted.
All right. So I'm going to go to Bob. What do you want to say? And then I'm going to go around and get everyone's last views. So, Bob?
So, you know, I've just got to put this out there because people who listen to my show and then maybe listen to this show, they'll know where I stand. So I'm not going to be two-faced. Now, I'm an anarchist. I believe in freedom. So in a country that has a taxation, you can't have open borders. You can't have people wandering in and out. You have to favor your nationals. If there was no taxation, which I would have no taxation, freedom. Feel free. If I want to spend 6 months of the year in Germany or Australia, if the world has no taxation, that's how it could be, freedom of movement. But in a world where there's taxation, you can't do that. You have to favor your locals and your nationals first. So I'm completely with Solid Blue on that, and I'm quite surprised. I know you've been, dropping little clues and hints, and I know now why people say you're a closet conservative, but I totally agree with you. If there's illegal in the country, you go, you get them, you throw them out. They've broke the law. We don't then give them, okay, it's okay, you can stay, and here's a house, here's a job. You just don't do that. But that's, what we see. So, yeah, I've got quite a hard stance on immigration. And I also would like to add that I like the Australian point system, and I'm quite proud of the UK, even though it hasn't seemed to have taken effect yet. We've adopted the UK the immigration point system after Brexit, but we're not seeing that because we're still getting influxes of the Ukrainians, even like there's still immigration being put into our countries. But I like the points of giving a point system to if you've got a job already, you get 10 points. If you can speak English, you get another 10 points, and you have to hit 70 points to be allowed to come in. And even furthermore, if there's a shortage of nurses, doctors, even public sector jobs, we will then go to countries and say give us some of your doctors and whatever, and they can come over here and work here if they want. There's not give us them. It's not held at ransom. I like that because then that's what makes a country a strong, good, a good country. So I'm totally on board with that. But obviously, my final point is with taxation, you can't have open borders, and you have to be strict with it because you're then disadvantaging the nationals who have paid tax, and they've lived there and given into the system.
All right, so we'll start the roll around the room, but I will throw this in. I'm not a classic conservative. I am a blue moderate, a baby boomer blue moderate. Okay, so any of you guys who are trying to turn me into one, I am not one. I am a moderate.
You're an old school Democrat, which is basically a conservative.
Okay, no comments from the peanut gallery. Thank you very much. You can diss me when it's your turn. So Michael Steele, again, no interruptions. Everyone is giving their last words, their last thoughts, whatever you want to say. Just remember, no interruptions. Michael, you have the mic. Michael Steele, you have the mic.
As far as the no wall, I don't want the wall. I heard the wall again from Bahram. They've been coming in. They can fly drones over our thing. They got tunnels coming into America, 24,000 tunnels. They fly drones over it. They climb the wall. I mean, the wall's a joke here in America. We live in the land of the free, the home of the brave. 24,000 law enforcement agencies are guarding America. We have drones. We have everything. We're watching the war over right now. In the Ukraine, our drones are watching what's going on. We know everything Russia's doing. We know everything Ukraine's doing. If we can watch that war over there, we can watch our own border wall, no problem. So we know who's coming in and who's coming out. Our government knows it. We're allowing it, what's going on. And we need people here right now to take care of our grandparents and our soldiers. We got a lot of soldiers come back from Afghanistan. People forget about that. War just ended. We need people to take care of them. There's not enough nurses. When there was talking about this jab, nurses quit all across the country. Doctors quit because they didn't want to get this jab, and they didn't uphold their oath because they said, I'm not getting this COVID shot. I'm quitting. And they got out of the medical field. I got relations that are right-wing nurses that quit. 3 of my cousins are nurses. They quit. They're no longer nurses because they didn't want to get the jab. Well, guess what? Now we got a shortage of nurses in the United States where we got military personnel coming in, taking the nursing jobs here. So we need some the immigrants to come in and take care of our people that are in the nursing homes and the hospitals, to build our bridges, to take care of us right now. And if they come in, they should be rewarded if they want to contribute to the American dream, that the American experiment, as our founding fathers said, this is an experiment, is all this America really is. Let them come in and help this, keep this American experiment alive. That's all I got to say. And if it's not Scottish, it's crop.
Michael J., are you sure that's all you have to say? Because once I pass the mic, you're not going to say anything. So are you sure that is all you have to say?
I got a lot more to say. Small business needs our students. See, we were talking about our students earlier, about problems with our kids. Well, that's something that I'm doing right now as a small business committee in North Dakota to get our students back to work after school, to have jobs. I want to create jobs in North Dakota for our students to go back to work. and that's going to help keep them off the fentanyl, keep them off the meth. And in the 70s in the United States, my team, we studied the numbers where when kids had after-school jobs and they were doing job training and job incentivizing with companies to go to work for companies or to create businesses in college, or for the ones that didn't want to go right to college, that wanted to go to work creating businesses, the drug problem was down in the 70s and 80s in the United States. And now it's gone up fivefold since the 70s and 80s. So that's something else we want to do, is incentivize our students to get back to work instead of playing video games and smoking marijuana and eating brownie cookies all day. So, yeah.
All right. Michael Kee, you have the mic. Uninterrupted. Go ahead.
Wasn't the crack epidemic in the 80s?
Yes.
Okay.
I said most of the 70s.
Okay. As far as the nurses, a lot of those nursing jobs require college education. I know because MTSU here, a lot of women are enrolled here. It's a very hard degree to get into. And I'm not talking about nurse practitioner either. I'm talking about just some skilled nursing stuff too. So it takes a lot more than just having illegal immigrants come over to fill those nursing jobs. When you go back to, the nurses quit because they didn't want to take the jab. Well, that's for a couple of different reasons. One, they worked the entire first year of the pandemic with no vaccine or protection. And a lot of them actually got COVID. And, a lot of them felt like, well, I've had COVID. I have the antibodies. You let me work a whole year before this without vaccine. Why do I have to work now with vaccine? And then second of all, why should I be forced to take a vaccine that doesn't keep me from getting it in the first place? It just maybe make you a little bit safer, but it's like the flu shot. It doesn't eradicate it. All right. I have the vaccine. I got COVID after the vaccine. So it's not, a lot of people have. So it's kind of one of those things. Is it more important to have the nursing and the skilled nursing where people have gone to school and they're very valuable? Or is it worth taking their freedom away and making them get that vaccine when, if they did it, they've already been in that environment in the first place? I think we said a lot about the illegal immigration. I think it was a good conversation regarding the illegal immigration. So I don't really have too much else to go on about that, but I appreciate you letting me be on the show, Lisa.
No problem. And are you sure you have nothing else you want to say?
I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. So, Balram.
This has been a great chat, and I've been sitting here giggling away at the two Michaels, and I really need to start listening to Michael J Steele's show because I think it would be fun. And that's what we want. We want pushback. We don't want everyone singing from the same hymn sheet. I've agreed with both. I've seen myself agreeing with Michael J Steele there a few times. You bring up a lot of good points, and I think the only difference is how to solve those problems. I think where we disagree is how to solve them. But you're identifying the problems that are there, which we can all see and we all agree with. And I think that's, I think, I don't speak for myself, but I think Solid Blue and Michael Kee and myself, we're all, disagreeing with you and how to solve them. And that's the only difference here tonight. I believe I've got different views. I'm more into conspiracies and things. And without going that route, I believe that these wars that we've been seeing forever, the Middle East war, the Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, all those kind of, it's a sport for these people, and they are plundering these countries with, bombs and things. And I also feel that way about, like, if it was me, my country was being bombed, I'd be doing the same as these other people. But ultimately, that refugee status means you have to seek refuge in the nearest country. And I also think immigration is a tool that I've said many times during this show. It's a tool that they use to benefit themselves money-wise, flood the country. That means that everyone will be kept. And I also agree with Michael here, Michael Steele, when you say there is no middle class. You're 100% right. And even more so what we've seen in the last 2 years since COVID, that is definitely the case. The middle class is being wiped out, and now we're all poor, and we're all eventually, I believe, we're going to be on universal credits. When the automation comes in, it's a scary, scary future ahead. And even a point that I think Michael Kee brought up earlier on the show that shocked me, because I know very little about China, and that's something I need to work on. But when you said that the GDP is like, was it 10,000
per capita? Yeah.
That's crazy, because with my beliefs, I believe that's how the whole world's going to look soon. I know that can be seen as conspiracy theory, but I think that's the way America are pushing it, and the global reset, all this stuff. It's very scary. So again, I think immigration needs to be curtailed. I think we need to invest more in our own infrastructure, and then we don't have the same problems as we've been seeing over the last 2 years. Everything's made in China and America. Even here, everything's made in China. And then when a huge crisis like COVID hits, there's a shortage. Because we've been using China for years. So, it's all about getting our countries greater. I don't want to use that phrase because I know it's very, but make America great again. I can see where he comes from. I love that branding. I know it was demonized, but you demonize the theory, not the man. They demonize the man. I like the theory. Like, I don't stand behind any man in politics. I like making things greater, and that's where I stand on immigration.
All right, so I'm not going to repeat what I said when the show first started. I just say that if you're going to come over here, do it the right way. And if you don't do it the right way, you should not have money given to you, homes, houses, being able to buy land, even send your kids to school. I'm sorry, I do not believe that you should be able to take advantage of the system like that. So having said that, I want to thank Michael Kee and Michael Steele for both coming. I know on a Saturday for you guys taking time out, it's a big thing. So thank you. And my co-host Bob, thank you for staying up later, whatever. So on that note, I am going to end this, but I am going to ask the two Michaels if they can stick around just for a moment here. So